The wedding reception was at the Grandview Hotel, the most exclusive venue in the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the harbor, crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, and white marble gleamed under carefully positioned lighting. I stood near the bar watching guests arrive in designer gowns and expensive suits. The kind of people who belonged at venues like this. Riley. My Aunt Barbara materialized beside me. You actually came. I'm surprised you could afford the hotel room here. The rates are astronomical. I didn't mention that I'd stayed in the penthouse suite. For free. Because I owned 40% of the hotel. It's a beautiful venue, I said. Isn't it? Melissa's fiancé Tyler comes from money. His family knows the owner. That's how we got the booking. She glanced at my off-the-rack navy dress. You look nice, dear. Very practical. The bridesmaids swept past in custom blush pink. Melissa had uninvited me from the wedding party 6 weeks ago. Tyler's family is very image-conscious, she'd said. The wedding party should be cohesive. You understand. What she meant. You don't look like you belong with us. My mother found me next. Riley tried to mingle. The Harrisons, Tyler's parents, are very important people. And please don't talk about your work. Nobody wants to hear about startups and technology at a wedding. For 10 years I'd been building my tech company. I'd worked 100-hour weeks, survived 3 near bankruptcies, and finally broke through 5 years ago when my project management software was acquired by a Fortune 500 company. I'd taken the buyout money and invested in real estate. Hotels specifically. Starting with the Grandview, which had been on the verge of foreclosure. I'd bought it with 2 business partners, renovated it, and turned it into the most sought-after venue in the city. But my family didn't know. They thought I did something with computers and traveled too much for work. I'll keep it light, I promised. The seating chart showed my name at table 18, tucked in the back corner near the service entrance. The table for +1s who came alone, distant relatives, anyone who didn't fit the aesthetic. My tablemates, Tyler's twice-divorced uncle, a solo college friend of Melissa's, and 2 elderly cousins I'd never met. The head table seated the wedding party and immediate family. All couples, all coordinated, all perfect. I sat down at table 18. My phone buzzed. My business partner James Chin. Board meeting moved to Tuesday. The Grandview's Q3 numbers are exceptional. You were right about the renovation. I'm actually at the Grandview right now. Cousin's wedding. The one who uninvited you from the wedding party? That's the one. Want me to revoke their booking? Tempting, but no. Melissa's father took the microphone. Welcome. We're especially grateful to the Harrison family for their generosity and connections. Without them, we never could have afforded this magnificent venue. To Melissa and Tyler. Everyone toasted. I raised my glass. The bride and groom made their entrance. First dance. Dinner service. Perfectly plated, expertly prepared. I'd hired the head chef personally after a 6-month search. Melissa's maid of honor stood for a toast. Melissa's always been the type to aim high. The best sorority, the best job, the best husband. Some people just know how to climb the ladder. Her eyes flickered toward me. Not everyone has that gift. More toasts followed. Each emphasizing the couple's success, their connections, their bright future. Nobody mentioned me. The twice-divorced uncle leaned over. Rough being at the kids' table, isn't it? My phone rang. Sarah Martinez, my other business partner and CEO of a tech conglomerate. I'm in the lobby. I'm nearby and dying to see the Grandview renovation. Can I crash? Sarah, you can't just walk into someone's wedding. Too late. I'm here. Besides, I own 12% of this hotel. Where are you seated? Table 18. Back corner. Perfect. See you in 5. I returned inside just as the band started playing. Couples filled the dance floor. Then the ballroom doors opened. Build up. Sarah Martinez entered like she owned the place. Which technically she partially did. Dressed in a stunning emerald gown, her signature diamond necklace catching light. 3 security team members followed at a discreet distance. The entire ballroom noticed. Conversations paused. Someone whispered, "Is that Sarah Martinez?" Sarah spotted me and headed straight for table 18. Riley. There you are. He pulled me into a hug. I'm Sarah. Riley's business partner. Mind if I steal this chair? The twice-divorced uncle scooted over immediately. Not at all. Sarah surveyed the room. God, the renovation looks even better than the photos. Riley, you were absolutely right about the chandelier placement. Melissa stopped dancing. She stood frozen staring at us. Tyler beside her equally confused. My Aunt Barbara had turned completely around at the head table. Sarah, I said quietly, you're causing a scene. Good. You've been stuck at the kids' table all night. She waved toward the head table. Which one is the bride? White dress, center of the dance floor, looking horrified. Perfect. Sarah walked toward Melissa. I followed. Melissa Morrison? Sarah extended her hand. Sarah Martinez. Riley's business partner. Congratulations on your wedding. Melissa shook automatically, starstruck. Sarah Martinez? The CO. That's me. I apologize for crashing. I was nearby and Riley mentioned she was here. I couldn't resist seeing the venue. The Grandview is spectacular, isn't it? It's beautiful. We were so lucky to get it. Tyler's family has connections to the owner. The owner. Sarah glanced at me, barely suppressing a smile. How interesting. What did they tell you about the owner? Tyler's father pushed forward. Richard Harrison, father of the groom. We've done business with Grandview Hospitality Group for years. I made a few calls, pulled some strings. Grandview Hospitality Group, Sarah repeated. That's interesting because Riley and I are 2/3 of Grandview Hospitality Group. She owns 40%. I own 12%. Our third partner James Chin owns 48%. She looked at Richard. So when you say you pulled strings, who exactly did you call? Richard's face went from confident to pale. I spoke with the events coordinator. Ah, so you made a regular booking. Like everyone else. Sarah turned to Melissa. Your wedding is beautiful. Riley did an excellent job with the renovation. The ballroom was her vision entirely. The ballroom had gone completely silent. The band stopped. Every guest was watching. Melissa looked at me. You own this hotel? 40% of it. With 2 partners. But you never said, you told us you worked in tech. I do work in tech. I built a software company, sold it for 8 figures and invested in real estate. The Grandview was my first major acquisition 5 years ago. My mother stood up. Riley, why didn't you tell us? I tried, Mom. You told me not to talk about work because it was boring. Sarah stepped in. Let me provide context. Riley Crawford is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the city. She built a project management platform from scratch, sold it to a Fortune 500 company, and used the capital to build a real estate portfolio currently valued at over $60 million. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She sits on 3 corporate boards. She advises 2 venture capital firms. She's invested in 12 startups, 8 now profitable. She's been featured in Forbes, Fortune, and Business Insider. Sarah looked at Melissa. And you uninvited her from your wedding party because she didn't fit your aesthetic? Melissa had gone white. I didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask. Sarah gestured toward the head table. You seated Riley at table 18. In the back corner. While you celebrated your connections to the hotel owner. The hotel owner who was eating rubber chicken in the back. Richard Harrison found his voice. Ms. Martinez, if we'd known Riley was an owner. You would have treated her better? That's worse. That means you only respect people based on net worth or connections. Revelation. Sarah pulled out her phone. The Grandview doesn't accept bookings without owner approval for major events. All 3 partners have to sign off. She showed her screen to Melissa. An email thread with me, Sarah, and James approving the Morrison-Harrison wedding. Riley approved your wedding. Even though you'd uninvited her from the wedding party. Even though your family has spent years dismissing her work. She approved it anyway because she didn't want to ruin your day. Melissa's eyes filled with tears. Riley, I'm so sorry. You're sorry now that you know she's rich? Sarah wasn't letting up. Where was that apology when she was just your cousin who did something with computers? My Aunt Barbara approached. Riley, we had no idea you were so successful. Biz, you never asked. Every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject or told me it was boring. Sarah's security team positioned themselves around us. Guests pulled out phones taking photos. Sarah Martinez crashing a wedding would be all over social media within hours. The hotel's general manager appeared, panicked. He recognized Sarah and me immediately. Ms. Martinez, Ms. Crawford, is everything all right? Everything's fine, Michael, I said. How's the service tonight? Excellent, ma'am. Your standards are being maintained. The shift was obvious. Michael reported to me. Everyone at the wedding suddenly understood the power dynamic they'd missed. Richard Harrison tried to recover. Riley, I apologize for any misunderstanding. You would have done what? Seated me at the head table? Included me in the wedding party? I shook my head. Mr. Harrison, I don't need your apology. I know what I've built. Your opinion doesn't change that. Sarah put her arm around my shoulders. Riley is one of the most generous people I know. She approved this booking even though your family consistently treated her like she was less than. She gave you her gorgeous ballroom, her exceptional catering, her impeccable service. And you put her at table 18. Melissa was openly crying, perfect makeup ruined. Riley, please. I was awful. I uninvited you because Tyler's mother said. She looked at Tyler's mother who'd shrunk back. She said you looked too ordinary to be in the photos. I am ordinary. I'm not flashy. I don't wear designer clothes or brag about money. I work hard and invest wisely. If that doesn't fit your aesthetic, that's your problem. Sarah pulled out her phone again. Riley and I are launching a new venture capital fund next month. We're investing in women-led startups. Forbes is doing a cover story. The fund is capitalized at $200 million. She looked at Richard. So when you say you pulled strings to get this venue, you were just making a regular booking at a hotel my business partner owns. There were no strings. The general manager nodded. Ms. Crawford insists on equal treatment for all guests. It's one of her core principles. Sarah checked her phone. Oh look, 3 major tech blogs just posted about this. CEO crashes wedding to defend business partner. This is going to be everywhere by morning. My mother approached, tears streaming. Riley, I've been a terrible mother. I dismissed your work. I never asked about your company. Because I didn't follow your definition of success. I built a different life. And you never bothered to ask about it. Sarah's phone rang. That's James. He heard I crashed your cousin's wedding and wants in on the fun. Resolution. James Chin arrived minutes later with his wife Michelle. James was the majority partner in Grandview Hospitality Group, owner of 6 hotels across 3 states. Riley. He hugged me. Sarah said your family didn't know you owned the hotel. Is that true? They knew I worked in tech and real estate. They never asked for details. Details. He looked around at guests with phones out. The details being that you're a millionaire entrepreneur who owns the venue they're celebrating in? He turned to Melissa. You must be the bride. Congratulations. Beautiful wedding. Riley did an excellent job with the ballroom design. Melissa could barely speak. Yes. It's beautiful. I had no idea. That your cousin was successful? That's unfortunate. Riley is one of the most talented investors I've worked with. When she proposed buying this hotel, I thought she was crazy. The place was falling apart. But she had a vision. She turned a failing property into one of the most profitable venues in our portfolio. Michelle added, and she did it while building 2 other companies. James looked at the head table. I'm curious. Where did you seat Riley tonight? Table 18, Sarah said cheerfully. Back corner. Near the service entrance. The owner of the hotel at table 18. That's something. The general manager approached again. Ms. Crawford, we're getting questions from guests about whether the wedding is cancelled. It's not cancelled. This is Melissa's wedding day. It should continue as planned. I looked at Melissa. I'm sorry for the disruption. Congratulations on your marriage. Riley, wait. Melissa grabbed my arm. Please don't leave. I was horrible to you. I uninvited you because I was embarrassed. Because you didn't look successful enough. I know. Can you forgive me? I thought about years of being dismissed by my family. About building an empire while they pitted me. Eventually, maybe. But not today. I understand. She wiped her eyes. Thank you for approving the booking. Thank you for not canceling it tonight. Despite everything, you're still my cousin. Sarah, James, and Michelle headed toward the exit. I followed. Behind us, the wedding resumed. In the lobby, James said, that was even more dramatic than Sarah described. I told you it would be fun, Sarah said. It wasn't supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be my cousin's wedding, which she uninvited you from, which her family dismissed you throughout. Sarah squeezed my hand. Riley, you're allowed to be angry. You've spent years being humble while your family treated you like you were less than. Tonight they learned the truth. And it's all over social media, James added, checking his phone. We're trending. This is actually great publicity for the Grandview. We said goodbyes and I returned to my penthouse suite. My phone exploded with messages. My mother. Melissa. My aunt. Dozens of relatives who'd ignored me for years, suddenly desperate to connect. I ignored them all and opened my laptop. Work emails needed responses. The venture capital fund needed final paperwork. A Boston hotel needed approval for renovations. This was my life. Building businesses. Making investments. Creating value. Not seeking approval from people who'd already decided I wasn't worth their attention. The next morning I checked out early. The general manager handled my departure. Miss Crawford, I apologize for last night's disruption. You have nothing to apologize for, Michael. The hotel performed flawlessly. I drove home past the city skyline where 3 of my buildings stood. I'd built all of this. Every property. Every investment. Every success. Without my family's help. Without their approval. Without their recognition. And now they knew. My phone rang. Melissa. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally I answered. Riley, please. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not because you're rich or successful, but because I treated you badly. You were shallow and stupid. I know. And I want to do better. Can we have coffee? When you're back in town. I thought about grudges and forgiveness. About whether people could change. Maybe. After things settle down. After you've had time to think about why you treated me that way. I will. I promise. And Riley? Thank you for not canceling the wedding. You could have destroyed my day. I'm not in the business of destroying things, Melissa. I'm in the business of building them. I hung up and continued driving. Past hotels and office buildings. Past construction sites where new properties were rising. Past evidence of everything I'd built. My family had dismissed me for years. They treated me like I was unsuccessful, like I was ordinary, like I didn't matter. Last night they learned the truth. I wasn't ordinary. I was extraordinary. And I'd proven it by building an empire they'd never bothered to notice. The woman at table 18 owned the entire building. And that was worth more than any seat at the head table could ever be.